Hi, crafty friends. I'm Nikki from the design team, and today I have a really fun card for you. I'm calling it the card they'll hang on their tree, and you'll see why I call it that. But we're going to make a detachable ornament or tag. We're going to be using the End Stitches Snowflake. I've got a fun technique with an embossing folder and some amazing things from the new collection that you just must see. I'm going to pop in a little quick sneak peek. I'm not going to show you all of it, but can you see that glittery background? Part of what I'm going to help you with today too is just making quicker cards. So I started with purple cardstock, and that makes this quicker on the ink blending. I am going to make that kind of spotlight effect in the middle with my ink blending, but I grabbed some paper and some coordinating ink that allows me to do that a little bit faster. So I start with my lightest layer because as if you've ever used Catherine Pooler inks, you know she doesn't have coordinating cardstock. So I'm kind of just winging it here on what will match. And so I have picked Sweet 16, Pixie Dust, and Grape Crush. And I started with Sweet 16 because it's the lighter of the colors and just started adding it along to kind of get an idea if that color was going to work. This Pixie Dust works marvelously, and I'm going to go around the edges and just go. So let's say I go about 2/3 of the way in with a light ink. Then I'm going to come in with a second ink and go about a third, and then we're going to take our darkest ink and really just go right around the edges. We're not going to spend too much time because we're going to play with this background and adding some glittery stuff to it in a fun way with the embossing folder. So don't stress too much. Just get yourself a general spotlight look to make this ornament look really cool on the background. One challenge to ink blending on cardstock is not all cardstock has the same smoothness. So you may see your marks a little bit more on these, but always give it some time to dry. You can bring in a bigger brush and try to smooth it out if you need to, or smooth with the lighter color if you feel like you've got too many brush marks. Generally, in the end, I don't think this is going to matter because we have such great details with the embossing folder we're about to put over it. So really don't stress about that. Now, if you watch me on my channel, you know that I love to experiment and especially with embossing folders. So what I was doing is filling this embossing folder to decide which side I want to place the paste on. We're going to use Astro paste in silver, and we're going to use a brayer to apply it to this. I've never done this before. I just wanted to experiment and see what happened. So I'm going to use a spare piece of plastic and put some of this Astro paste on that because I know it will be a mess to clean up off of my sticky mat. So I'm going to get something that I can throw away to apply the Astro paste to. So just this extra piece of plastic. So we're going to apply to the raised areas of this frosted filigree. And you could do it either way, but this is I felt like would have the least amount of sparkle on the folder if I went on this side. And it also gives me the chance to kind of make that little bit of mixed media look with it. Now, if you haven't used Astro Paste before, it is so glittery. I put gloves on because using paste, it never hurts to have gloves on anyway, but I really put them on because I know how glittery this is going to be, and it's going to be a mess. So do not try if you don't want a little bit of mess. Using gloves really helps. So I just pick up a little bit on my brayer, and then I'm going to lightly roll over the raised edges. I'm trying to get everything out of the way because I know that I might make a big mess here. And I'm just going to lightly roll over the edges. And I'll do this a few times to try to get down some of that beautiful glitter. And then we're going to send our purple background through the folder, and I'll show you as much as I can on camera how that glitter fills in those little areas and just gives it a beautiful look. So now I got to be careful because I have all of this on my hands and everything. So I'm just being careful. Do not close your embossing folder until you have it lined up how you want it, because once you close it, the paste is on it. Okay. And I'll show you that this paste, it dries clear where it just leaves glitter only. Let me send it through the embossing machine or the die cutting machine, and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, you're going to have to catch the reveal as I move this side to side. So you'll be able to see the beautiful impression, but I'm going to move it side to side slowly so that it catches light. And you can see there is some glitter in the middle where my brayer went through the middle. but I actually like that effect. I think it looks really cool in the middle. So next we need to make our dies. This is what is going to be the fancy ornament or tag, whatever you want it to be on our card. I'm not actually going to do stitching, even though this is a stitching die. Those stitching holes give it such a beautiful look, and you don't necessarily have to stitch it if you don't want to. It's completely up to you. I think that what I did with it worked really well. I'm definitely a fan of having coordinating cards, so I'm using the same purple cardstock, and I'm going to cut out the fancy layer, and I'm going to cut out the back layer in purple. And you need to make one more of the background in beautiful white glitter. This is Altenews Moonstone. Now, it's always tricky gluing onto glitter cardstock, so it never hurts to put an acrylic block on there, especially if you used some glue, and just make sure you hold it. Even when you use double-sided adhesive, sometimes you need to really press it down onto glitter. Once I'd glued this together, I forgot that I did not add a whole lot of detail on the actual purple paper, so I'm just coming in and going around the edges. This is perfectly fine. It doesn't really color the glitter paper or stick to the glitter paper, and it gives the snowflake just that spotlight type effect. Now, to turn this into an ornament or tag, we need to put something on the back. And so that's why we cut out that other piece of purple. And I'm going to show you what I did with it and a couple of other really cool things about this release. For this, I just used a tag set from Honeybee called Tag Your It. And I just put to and from because I was thinking that this would be a great way to sign your ornament or tag. And also, you could even write a little message. Like you could put something here and just leave it blank to write your own personal message. Or you could put something, a photo on the back of, I think that would make a really cute ornament. So there's a lot of different options, but this simply was stamped to from. Now you could grab purple bow. I actually had purple stitching thread and I added strips of foam tape on the back, but I left a little area in between the foam tape so that I'll be able to stick my ornament strings there without making any extra bulk. If you want your ornament perfectly flat, then leave a little space, and then I left enough space to put a double-sided adhesive. I have this really skinny double-sided adhesive that actually can fit in that little area, and I can stick the ends of the strings of my ornament or tag to this. So you just remove the release paper. It helps to have a little tool to do that. You know, the release paper sometimes is hard to get off. And then you're just going to put your thread down in between this gap and push it into the adhesive. The other way you could do this is with a glue dot. If you've ever used those, it's just a piece of an adhesive. You could do it with actual glue, but you just need to let it sit for a while, whereas double-sided adhesive is pretty immediate, so it's a quick and easy way to do this. It never hurts to put it on your card front to see how long you want this to be, where you want your little snowflake to hang to. So I'm just checking the length and how long I want my strings. You can make them extra long and tuck them inside your card if you want to, but I like to have mine pretty reasonable so that the actual ornament or tag isn't too long. And I did do the other side with glue because I didn't leave the opening quite long enough or quite wide enough for my other double-sided adhesive, and it did not work as well. So you definitely have to be patient with it, let it dry. It will work. It just takes longer, and I'm ready to go ahead and start doing something with this, and I got to realize that my glue still needs to dry right here. So I would put it in and really poke it into that glue so that it stays in between those two, and then give it a little bit of time. Now, once you've given it a little time, you could go ahead and remove the adhesive backing of your foam tape and place the other piece. Just be very cautious and make sure you get it lined up the way you want. And then you have a front and back to your tag. And now I wanted one more sentiment to put on the front of the card, and I'm using this Simply Stated. And y'all, I just have to say, this is one of the best inventions that Honeybee has come up with in quite some time. You can see I'm crafting in my pajamas here, but I am loving this. It's a stamp, which I've already stamped and heat embossed, and then it's got a coordinating die. Look at how this lines up. I love that it gives you all these different shapes that you can use. It's got circles, ovals, it's got rounded rectangles, and it's got all of these fancy things that you come to expect from Honeybee with amazing Fonts, amazing shapes, and I used a magnetic mat, but I still used just a little bit of tape because I did not want to mess up the whole sheet. You really want to make sure you've got the cut ready before you do this. And with my larger Anna Griffin die cutting machine, occasionally things will shift a little bit. I think because the plates are so big. So I'm really careful to make sure this is definitely staying down, especially if I'm cutting multiple things at once. But this cuts out all of these sentiments at the exact same time. So I'm going to have a pile of amazing sentiments. And it's so satisfying to push all of these out of the die and have just a beautiful pile of sentiments. I love how amazing this works. And this is my probably favorite thing from the release because I just think it's innovative and it has the amazing fonts that we've all come to love from Honeybee Stamps. And I have so many. So I'm going to keep these in a little package so that I can use them with other cards. But I end up deciding for this card I was going to use Merry Everything since it was a snowflake and it could be that you give it to somebody past the holidays. It might be nice just to have a pretty simple, generic greeting on it. So, Merry Everything is in a beautiful script sentiment. And let me show you what it looks like on this card. So now all that's left to do is to add our sentiment and add this little ornament on the card. You could put this behind your front panel. You could put it into the card. I'm just going to add the sentiment, and I definitely have other videos on my channel if you want to see more ways to add this to the card. But look at how beautiful this looks. I'm going to show you several final pictures. I love that too from, remember, you could do something like a picture. There's so many different ideas you could do with the other side of this card, but do you see that subtle glitter? And I know everybody's going to ask, now what happens to your embossing plate when you use that Astro Paste glitter on it? And the answer is yes, there's still a little bit of glitter on my embossing folder, but I was able to easily get this out by rinsing it off quickly, or I actually had more luck with running a second piece of paper through it and having that pick up the extra glitter. But it wasn't anything that was getting on projects. Even if there was a piece or two left on my embossing folder, I ran it through another project and it did not cause any trouble. Now, I'm sure all of you are very aware Black Friday is coming this week, and Honeybee has some amazing deals. Make sure that you use my affiliate link if you're going shopping this weekend. If you are looking for more Honeybee content, of course, check out their channel. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe. There is also a decent amount on my channel, Nicki Hearts Cards. So I hope that you have a great week. Happy shopping. I'll see you soon. Bye.